So, hi Ramya. This
Okay.
is the first interview for DevOps and Cloud Engineer position that we have.
Okay.
So, I will go through the process. I will allow you to speak, talk about your profile, your experience in the first few minutes, and throughout the process, I'll make some notes and we'll try to give you feedback towards the end.
Okay.
So, if you can introduce yourself and you can give me a brief
Yeah.
about your total
I have.
experience.
Yeah. Perichella Ramya. I have around 2.8 years of dedicated experience in DevOps, AWS, Kubernetes, Ansible, and moreover, I have hands-on experience on CyberArk tool, Active Directories, and um, cloud management services and cloud accounts also. And moreover, my expertise are extends to IAC using IAC with Terraform and CICD using Jenkins and all. So in this 2.8 years of experience, I have worked on few projects. My first project is was Napis to CyberArk migration project. In that project, we worked on one PAM solution to other PAM solutions. Where we worked on data encryption and IAM everything. My second project is was JCI project. In that project, I worked on Active Directories and cloud accounts and user lifecycle management, everything. And whereas coming to the third project, REST API using AWS Lambda and API Gateway. And next project is was Ansible using that provisioning and configuring infrastructure using EC2 instance and all. Whereas coming to the next project, I worked on Python microservices app using Kubernetes. In that project, the main theme of that project is was converting video into audio, and we used Helm charts for deploying databases, and we worked on EKS cluster. So as of now, I'm working on AWS, so we used EKS cluster. And last project is was I started working on it. CICD using Jenkins as an orchestrator. We configured Jenkins to trigger build on every code commit in Git repository with everything. This pipeline included many stages like code compilation and run unit testing using building Docker images and deploying Kubernetes cluster. This setup ensured that each code change was tested and deployed automatically. That's it.
That's a quite a good number of tools and technologies you worked in a short period of time.
Yeah, like as a fresher, I have joined in Infosys and I worked on JCI project and my first two projects. I worked on externally, worked on first two projects that is based on REST API using AWS Lambda and API
Mhm.
Gateway and Ansible also. So after that, I have completely into cloud. So
Okay. Can you give me an idea like a microservices or else AWS serverless? Why do we even need API gateway and all?
like we are working on HTTP endpoints, no, so because of that we are using API gateway and all, like microservices, like most of the companies are working on now working on microservices only. Before that they used to work on monolith, like, by they are having some extended futures on microservice, because of like if they are working on something, some applications, if there any something what is called, is there any drop, what something happened to that one application, you can fix it out over there only, like monolithic, like they are like they are like using, they will crash that entire system. So that's why the nowadays all companies are coming to the microservices. That's why we have used microservices.
Yes, I get the idea, but I wanted to understand what is the role of an API gateway in a serverless architecture.
API gateway. Like I just want like that API gateway has to connect to that HTTPS, like to the endpoints and the serverless functions also, using some for serverless like Lambda, everything.
Okay. So it's basically sort of bridge between your end user where your request will be triggered. They will
Yeah,
be calling an endpoint and then it will be calling a backend server.
yeah,
Lambda.
backend server.
Yeah. So are there any limitations of using API gateway?
Limitations. So API gateway,
Yeah.
like
Are there any limitations of using serverless Lambda?
actually the serverless like serverless Lambda, like we worked on serverless only. No, Lambda is a serverless function, so we can run our code virtually without without provisioning and configuring anything. So
Right. So that's that. Those are the benefits. Any disadvantage of using serverless where you wouldn't use it?
like where I wouldn't use it, like
No worries, that's fine.
uh,
So usually these serverless, the PaaS services, or there will be some sort of catch where you cannot use all the services for every use case. So
okay,
because you worked on it for quite some time, so I thought maybe asking slightly difficult question as to what could be the limitation.
yeah,
Sometimes they do not support the uh, number of minutes of execution. So, for example, a long running process is not suitable for serverless. At the same
serverless.
time, sometimes the payload requirements are higher. So, you want to upload a file of, say, few GB to your serverless. So, there would be some limits. Your
Okay,
payload requirements or your payload that you are going to follow, that
that
your request and response may have some limits. So, that's where there would be some limitations.
okay. Thanks for letting me know.
Yeah, no worries. So my next question is, can you explain a little bit about the Ansible related use case or the project that you mentioned? Can you explain a little bit how many servers were you managing using the Ansible?
Like we worked on one server only.
Okay.
What I have to like, firstly I just worked on how first I have installed Ansible in my laptop, and after that I have configured AWS console to that Ansible. Everything has been done, and I have written some like a YAML playbook regarding that EC2 instance, and I have connected that.
So that's a very basic use case of Ansible, right? You know how
Yeah,
why Ansible is typically used in organization?
like in old days the system administrators have been like they are like they have so much pressure on them, like while doing the uh, um, configurations and
They still
everything.
have pressure. It's not that the pressure is gone.
Yeah, yeah, but when compared to that time, now it's fine with Ansible and all, like it's an agent plus everything, no, so
But what is the use case? How, if they have to manage a single server, what is the alternate to Ansible? Like, do you really need Ansible to configure a single server? You can manage with a shell scripting or any basic.
yeah,
Uh,
actually,
yeah. So, what is the real use case of Ansible is to manage maybe thousands of hundreds of
yeah, for
servers.
100 servers, yeah.
Okay. Going back to your resume, can you explain a little bit about CyberArk related project that you did?
Yeah, actually, our applications is in Nepis tool. Like then the user needs more secure when compared to Nepis. We are having more secure in security in CyberArk too.
Mhm.
And user have given some applications to us according to their requirements. We have created an input, and we are in that project we are having two teams. I worked on PAM solutions, the other team is AMO, and we have created an input according to that applications, and we have given to that AMO team, and they raised an tickets and everything on service now according to the user requirements, and we
No,
are having some
not coming out.
environments.
It's not coming out clearly. What exactly was the project? Like, I don't need to get into like ticket was created or that sort of thing at high level.
Yeah. And we worked on some environments also, product testing environments. According to that, we worked on that user requirements and all.
Hmm. So that so
The
I
application, it is completely based on that migration. So we
so
worked on my
I worked on based on user requirements is something you can respond in almost every project or every.
yeah.
So I need to know a little bit more specific of this. The secrets were managed in CyberArk. Then what was your role? How it was done?
Yeah, I
Although
worked
everything
on
would be
the
based on requirements.
PAM engineering. So
Okay. What are the alternate products compared to CyberArk?
alternate products in the sense like more secured one when compared
Not more
to.
secured. Maybe the more or less is fine, but any competing product, that similar product to that in DevOps or DevSecOps we typically use.
No, like no idea.
Have you heard of HashiCorp Vault or uh,
I HashiCorp, yeah, that we worked on secret handling everything. Both,
yes? Yeah. Okay. So CyberArk, it's competing with CyberArk, right?
yeah.
In that sense, yeah. Can you give me a rough overview of ML Ops pipeline?
What? MLOps pipeline?
Are you aware of? And okay,
No,
can
oh
you
no,
give me a very high level structure of a DevSecOps pipeline? How a DevSecOps pipeline looks like?
no. I started just now. Started working on CICD. Like, I don't know that MLOps and DevSecOps pipeline
So,
so
are
far.
you aware of any DevOps pipeline structure? What would go into
DevOps,
DevOps pipeline? A CI/CD pipeline.
CICD. I have to explain it now. No?
Yes, please.
No?
If you can explain me what goes into a CI/CD, what is the anatomy of a CI/CD pipeline? How? What is a CI/CD pipeline?
CI/CD is like a continuous integration and continuous deployment. Like they go under that build, test, automated deployments. Everything is done. Where coming to the CI/CD, CI is a process of CI/CD pipeline where the members used to integrate their code or else their work,
Mm-hmm.
and they push they worked on like git repository and all, and it automatically checked and tested out. Whereas coming to the cd, like after done with the ci process, they can get that code from the from the git repository. And after that, cd means like everything has to be ready. So your software is in that process. You have to like you have to build our software and we have to deploy everything. Like your software is ready, and we have to release anytime when they want. So
Okay. So now assume that this is the CI/CD pipeline a company already has, what you explained. You have been hired to make further recommendations to them that are you doing certain activities or not, and you want to take them to next level.
okay,
So what all things you will look there?
like I'll look at CI having some process now. So
Mhm.
code come everything, unit testing, build, scan, everything has
Okay.
that part has to be done in CI.
What is
Of
scan? Build scan.
like where do you integrate your code to scan the scan the code over there from the Git repository.
Okay. So what happens after the scan?
Like they are go under that unit testing,
Okay.
and once the code is ready to deploy that everything has to be done in that integration part. We have to ready to deploy. So CD is the process where to integrate our work over there.
Okay. All right. So I think you understand this part
Uh,
reasonably
yeah,
well.
started working on like I'm not sure particularly. I can.
No worries.
Yeah.
Can you explain me the structure of a Docker file? Like what goes into a Docker file when we write?
Okay. First, we'll go to the CD and CMD, sorry, CMD, and where that you have to specify that base image that comes from Docker Hub, and after that w- uh, we will run that execute the commands in the container, and after that CMD is CMD is the process where to after that we have to copy and add that images, like copy the files from the host to the containers and all. After that CMD and entry point, and after that expose specifies the ports of the container that listens on, and after that set the environment variables and all.
Okay. Does the base image always comes from Docker Hub?
No, it's we worked on that only, like image registries come from Docker Hub, so I know that this comes from Docker Hub. Am I right, or else it's come from some other?
No, it can come from other sources as well.
Okay.
It's up to you which is your base
I
repository you are using.
Okay.
All right. Do you also have any Kubernetes experience?
Yeah, I worked on EKS cluster.
Okay. How did you created the EKS cluster?
Like we have having the minikube as a manager, no? So after that in that project I worked on logs and everything. If there are any log failure happened, like I have to check that log using that kubectl commands, log spot them,
Hmm?
everything has.
That's you will check all the logs through kubectl. Did you not create a centralized mechanism to store the logs and
No, actually, that is we worked on that ELK stack,
okay.
that is also, but in that for monitoring that log purpose, we use that kubectl pods logs pod name and all, and
What is the limitation of kubectl pod logs?
what,
What is the issue with using kubectl pod logs?
like we can view that logs, what like if there any
You can view the log. That is a good thing. You can see
yeah,
what the issue is, what the problem is, but what is the issue with this approach itself?
in that kubectl log pod approach.
Okay.
Like
What if your pod has crashed yesterday night and it's not at all there?
no,
How would you do kubectl pod?
it won't work at that
It
time.
won't work. So that's why,
Mm,
what is the suggestion in such cases for a Kubernetes-based short-term container platform? You push your logs as and when the log pod is running, you keep pushing your logs somewhere.
okay.
Even if it crashes, the logs are available to you.
And some of the I just worked on that part only for deployment process and all, and some of the people in our project they worked on the monitoring tool using that ELK stack, everything. Okay.
Yes. So uh, now tell me about a little bit about Terraform. Have you got experience on Terraform?
I have very good knowledge on Terraform. Like,
Okay. So in my company, when you will be hired as a DevOps engineer, we are not using Terraform right now, but we want to use Terraform.
Okay.
But we also have already resources created in AWS. So how do you handle, what do you suggest to such customers?
Like we can handle the multiple clouds in Terraform only. Like they are, that is also called a cloud agnostic.
Yeah. That is true, that Terraform being cloud agnostic, but we are hiring you to create CI/CD pipelines and everything using Terraform to create our infrastructure. But
Okay.
we already have 100 EC2 instances created without using Terraform. What do you suggest to such customers? You get me right.
Yeah.
You can create.
I got you, but I have no clue regarding
This is
that
a
in
very common
scenario.
scenario. This is a very common scenario. Companies want to use Terraform. Companies want to use Ansible. They want to use GitLab, but they are
Yeah.
not using it so far. They already have hundreds of EC2, maybe not 150, 500, whatever. They already have
Okay.
resources in cloud. So what do you suggest to them? So do research on this. It's very easy to create infrastructure using Terraform. It's difficult to find how to manage existing resources, how to, next question is, how do you manage, you created 10 EC2 instances using Terraform. I made some manual changes. So how do you manage those changes?
I have no clue.
No, don't get confused. So this is very common, right, in the organization.
Yeah,
You,
okay.
the CI/CD process creates 10 EC2 instances using Terraform. Awesome, everything nice. But
Okay.
somebody made some manual changes to the EC2 instances, increased the storage or did something manually. So how
Okay.
Terraform is supposed to know about that change? What should be done? So those things is something we need to uh, work on as well.
Okay.
So, okay. So I have gone through, like we have done few rounds of, like we did on Terraform, Ansible, Kubernetes, Docker, CI/CD. What I found is that you are like, still there are some gaps. You need to prepare a little bit more hands-on. Uh,
Okay.
you hands-on is one part. Uh, Depth of knowledge is also need to go slightly. You have good overview, like uh, what tools are do like why do we use certain tools, uh, but when it goes to the next level, that uh, maybe your experience is more from proof of concepts or working under some senior leads who have been doing a lot of activities. So you need to come out of that and uh, take, like, do some of the things yourself from scratch, face a lot of errors, and based on that you have to build your knowledge.
Okay.
It's still there. I'm not saying nothing to dishearten. It's the skills are still there. It's just
Yeah.
that depth has to be brought in, because at 3 years experience, people would, even if it is one or two subject uh, topic or whatever, like whether you take Ansible, AWS, or Terraform as your core skill set, make sure you have in-depth knowledge on that.
Okay.
Right now, it is coming
To
as
focus on that scenario based also.
yes. Look at a lot of scenarios. Talk to people. Uh, Talk to them. People will say fancy things. People will say, "Oh, we migrated all our application to use serverless." So ask them,
Mm.
"Did you face any issues?" Uh, because everything comes at a cost. So if you're using serverless, you have to compromise on something. If you're using Terraform on an existing resource, you have to compromise on something. So understand.
In that case, what would you suggest for like on base of EC2 instance, we have created that infrastructure using Terraform in that scenario based question you have asked me, no?
You tell them that you don't. First of all, you don't have to be blank. You tell them that you will analyze the situation. That
Okay.
is a very well, like still a slightly generic response. You will say, I will analyze the situation. I will see if I can automate the creation of those 100 EC2 instances using,
Mm.
there are scripts in Terraform nowadays where it can connect to your existing resources and give you automation scripts for that. So you will first try to create those, bring them under Terraform umbrella. So you want to manage entire infrastructure using Terraform. So you will create new resources using Terraform, but you will also in parallel try to bring your existing resources under Terraform as well.
Okay.
Earlier, Terraform did not had this feature, but now it allows you to bring existing dependencies also.
I
So
didn't have hands-ons on Terraform, so that's where like I have basic knowledge on Terraform. Like I can manage with every commands also, like using
it's
Terraform.
very easy. I mean, you want like Ansible or these tools have been generated based on experience, so people will learning them is very easy, like straightforward. Basic Terraform you can probably learn in a weekend,
Okay.
but to master it, even maybe one
Yeah.
year may not be enough. So same goes for Ansible, same for all others. So, but at least encounter uh, few basic industry scenarios so that you can answer these difficult scenarios. Because right now we did not have a job description in hand, and I'm most of the questions are generic in nature, but people will come with their real problem, real scenarios. When a
Okay.
real company is hiring you, this is mock, right? When a real company hires you, uh, they would have a lot of problems. So they want to get your point of view on those. So very generic is, yes, I will analyze your situation and I have some ideas around it, and this is how I will structure my plan. That's how you can build a good response.
Okay.
Cool. No problem. Keep working on your skills. Do a bit of hands-on, do some projects,
Okay.
face some issues, and then your skills will also improve. And automatically, your language, your vocabulary of technical words, and your response will also start improving.
Okay.
Cool. Do you have any question before we close?
No.
No worries. Okay. Thank you then. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.